Artlist.io.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host, Rachel.
And I'm Delia.
And today we're going to be talking about the voodoo factor.
What?
Trying crazy things to hold on to something or someone.
That is not holding on to you.
That is not holding on to you.
No
Let's get into it.
Let's talk.
Do you have any cool stories about that?
So
Crazy
I do
stories?
have a few crazy cool stories about people that, be careful what you wish for because they may come true.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the people that actually will go out of their way and and it just depends on what you believe, right? Because a lot of people don't believe in this kind of thing, and I respect that. I am a spiritual person. I am Catholic, but I do believe that there's good and evil.
Yes.
It depends on who you have this conversation with. They may say, that's crazy, there's no such thing. And recently, and I'm going to go on a little tangent, I guess science has caught up with religion, is what I've heard recently.
Yeah.
And they're now coming, to the forefront to say, it is true. Like, what you think about really can come true.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that you really put your energy to. It's a whole manifestation. I think it's a new trend. But point is, be careful what you wish for because it may come true. So this particular person actually was really seeking to lock down the person that wanted to be her husband. And she did everything under the sun to try to capture him, because you'll hear crazy stories of what people do.
And especially in our culture, right? Being in the Latin culture.
And it's not even, you'd be surprised.
No, but it's everywhere.
It really
everywhere.
is. I talk to people nowadays and I'm like, so I see the little red bracelets,
yes.
and I know those are indicative of something. And I'm like, I know that's just not just jewelry.
Yeah.
But going back to this girl, so she wanted to capture the guy that she wound up marrying. So they supposedly fell in love. I think it's generic love. Because it was altered by her.
It's artificial filler.
It's artificial. It's GMO'd love.
Yeah.
So they GMO'd the love.
They GMO'd the love.
And out of the GMO'd love came these little offsprings. And so she had 2 kids. But because she was so unsure, there's people that are just like, I want this because it doesn't want me. And then they get it and they're like, I really didn't want it anyway. But now it's here, so now I got to get it. Yeah. So point is, she divorces the guy. So, of course, the guy's heartbroken, and for about almost a year, he tries to get back with her, and she's just not having it. Of course, you want what you can't have again. So he finds someone, the perfect supposed match, right? So we say. And he marries her and has a daughter with her. So now she's a complete wreck, totally distraught.
The first wife, right?
The first wife that did the whole abracadabra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it worked, but obviously she captured him.
Yeah.
So maybe she really manifested him in her life. And so he gets married, has a child, and now she's just lost weight, just is depressed, doesn't want to go out, can't see her life without him, to the point where she'll go on Facebook, tag him on pictures of she's almost toxica fatal, obsession style,
not fatal toxica,
fatal toxica, yeah. So but you hear these crazy stories all the time where the girl or the guy didn't want to be with you, and all of a sudden, because they say, you know what, I'm gonna write you off, I don't want to be with you, then you just get crazy.
It is something that I have seen people experience. I had a friend a long time ago when I was really young, and she had an older sister.
Okay.
And who told us this one story, and it was this guy that she was all into, and then all of a sudden he cheated on her, and they were just boyfriend and girlfriend. And he didn't want to be with her anymore. This girl is very beautiful, so she was kind of like, what? And so
no one's gonna say no to me.
Yeah, and so she could have had anybody. She could have easily just felt that pain, went through the process, and moved on. Because I'm a believer, as you guys know.
Yeah.
Life's rejection is God's protection. But
the universe shifts you for a reason.
Yes, but we want to hang on. Some of us.
Yeah.
Well, she was not ready for whatever God had in store. She wanted what she wanted. And so she went to go see some lady that was a spiritualist or something like that. And the lady, I don't know how, but told her the future, told her whatever, and offered her the service, for additional, $29.99.
We're gonna get you a voodoo doll with some hair on it.
We're gonna dress this sucker
some conches on there. You know what I mean?
But I can tell you, she went through gave her these really crazy steps, and I'll share a tiny bit of them with you, not so you can do them. It's not the whole thing, so don't go doing it, right? But basically it was like, you got to find a way to be intimate with him again.
Okay.
And then you got to collect his
semen.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you get all
I was like sobbing. And like the algorithm,
Yes,
like the algorithm.
Yes, swimmers. Okay.
I like pause and she's all semen.
Semen
and,
demon.
Yeah. So, collect it and then you got to put it in a vial. And then you got to go to the ocean. You got to pray over it or whatever. Go to the ocean, throw it over your shoulder and say all these things. And then whatever happens. Wow. So next thing you know, she does all that. And then the guy, it ends up being that he eventually, like months later, comes to her and says, "What did you do?" And she's like,
so he knew.
She's like, What are you talking about? He's like, "I can't stop thinking about you. And every time I go to sleep with someone, I can't, it doesn't function."
Ooh.
He has ED, erectile dysfunction, every single time he goes to be intimate with someone, and every single time he thinks of her. So his mother or somebody told him, "You better go. If that's who you're thinking about every single time, then that's the person who did it."
Sure.
And so
they must have been very intuitive, or they must have been into that.
It was the Latin culture, right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, he goes back to her and says, "What did you do?" And then she basically was like, "I didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah." But by then, because it was like a year later, she wasn't interested in him anymore.
Shoot.
No, actually, they ended up getting together, and then they did have a daughter.
Okay.
And then he still ended up cheating, but I don't know if it worked that time or not. But anyways, she moved on. She ended up becoming this dancer, and she moved on. She ended up, meeting somebody else. And
okay, so I'm sorry, but when you say dancer, like I think
not a ballerina.
A stripper?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
not
she
a
became
modern
a stripper.
Not
Okay.
a modern dancer.
Okay, I was like backup dancer,
Cardi B
stripper.
type.
Like what kind of dancing was she doing?
So the moral of the story is she thought that that's what she really wanted. Mm-hmm. She got the guy. The guy was head over heels crazy for her. She kept saying she was so annoyed by it. Because he was like a guy's guy and he wasn't going to be all freaking up, kissing her butt or whatever. But at the end of the day, he turned into this like love crazed guy and she was just like, ugh. And let me tell you, she got over it and then she went and found somebody else and then the guy was still freaking like lost. So I don't know whatever happened of that situation, but they did have a daughter together and cute little girl and stuff like that. But the moral of the story is, you don't need to chase anything. And we've said this to you ladies over and over again, like, if you have to push, pull, or drag it, it's dead. It's like, imagine a dog on a leash that you're dragging and like forcing. It's freaking dead. Like, it's not moving, and you. But I think we're all
guilty of, because if we haven't disconnected from a particular person, we are guilty of really trying to read into things like, well, he texted this, so does this mean that? And we as women are really bad at that anyway. So we're like, well, did he mean this or did he mean that? Does he really like me? Does he not? Does he this? Does he that? And it's like, no, dude, he's not that into you.
That's
like,
it.
That's it. Like, he's really not that into you. And you got to move on. I mean, for me, I have to tell you, because I am Mexicana, Latina, I did grow up around that a lot, and I think it's a little bit more open now. Before it was very secret, like taboo. Nobody could know about this because you're not supposed to know your future. And I understand that we're Christian women or Catholic women, and I understand there's a part of there's a secret part of life that you need to live out and not have someone tell you this is what's going to happen. Yeah. Sometimes be careful what you wish for, be careful what you ask, because sometimes you don't want to hear the truth or you don't want the reality to hit. But point of the matter is that I did have an experience when I was super duper young, like beyond young. And the craziest thing is, everything that woman told me was literally legit to the T what I lived out. And so I think that that's the scary part, because a lot of the time you're not living only because you're thinking, is this the part where the turn, is this the part where this happens? Is this the part where that's supposed to happen? Is this that person? Is this moment? Is it that? Is it this?
Or do you take steps then to try to make it happen instead of just would you have made those steps or those decisions had you not had that information also?
So for me, I was completely unaware of the way everything played out. So I didn't even know that that's the way it was going to play out. Of course, every time I would meet a new person, I'm like, oh, that has to be the new person. Or that has to be the new person. Or that has to be the new person. But point is, like, a lot of people do some crazy things in order to try to capture the person that they think they should be with. And in retrospect, when you actually do the work, you're like, thank God that didn't work, because it would have never worked out.
There are blessings in the failures. Like, what you view as a failure today could be an utter blessing. It could be the biggest blessing you've ever experienced. If you really wanted a certain job and you didn't get it, and you wanted to go to a certain university and you didn't get accepted, like no matter your age, at the end of the day, that could be a massive blessing for you that you have no idea what's in store for you.
I agree. And nowadays, because of my age, because of my experience, because of things that I've been through, I sometimes have to take a deep breath, count to 10 and say, holy moly, I'm being redirected. Why am I being redirected? Recalculating your route. Like, there is traffic ahead. And sometimes when that happens, we question, why are we being redirected? Why is this happening? And I'm not ever saying like pity party for me, like, why is it me? No, why? It's just more like, okay, I get it. I'm being redirected. I'm not supposed to have that. There's a reason for it. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to cry foul. It is what it is. And before, when I was younger, I mean, way younger, maybe even almost 10 years ago, I remember like the worst things that ever happened to me in my life in that moment, in retrospect, were the damn best things that ever happened to me in my life. And sometimes, you know what? That's just the universe reshifting you in the direction that you're supposed to be in.
Yes.
And don't question that.
I mean, look at us right now. We both went through very sort of traumatic, painful divorces for various reasons, right? And we have a whole show. And it's not just from that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's part of the journey of that and part of even our healing process. Like, we did the work. We unpacked all the junk and we laid it on the table, and we're doing that now in front of you ladies. And at the end of the day, like, you never know what's going to come in store. And so like my friend, or like the people you know who are like obsessed, or like they can't let go of that which is walking away from them. If someone is walking away from you, that is a decision, a clear decision they made to do that, you know? And so at the end of the day, it's like they say too with cheating. You know, the first time you can say it's a mistake. After that, it's not a mistake. It's a decision that they are making. It's a conscious decision.
Well, I will tell you, because I have to take it back to the mistake, right?
Yeah.
And forgive me if you guys have been listening to us, all 5 of you, all 10 of you.
Oh, yeah, and, you guys, right? The 3 guys in the audience,
the 3
in the
or
crowd.
5 guys that listen. I remember that you know, when I did find, like, let's say my ex-husband's phone in his car, and he says, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. And it's like, no, the only mistake here is you got freaking sloppy and you got caught. That's the only mistake. So when we sit there and we try to excuse bad behavior to say he was drunk, he didn't know, he was coked out, he was freaking...
She was hitting on him first.
She was dressed like a hooker.
Yep.
I mean, we can make up all kinds of excuses. At the end of the day, it's like, nope, you got sloppy. You did that. And the only mistake here is you got sloppy that night. And it is what it is. Don't tell me that you accidentally called a hooker and you accidentally put your phone somewhere else. I mean, and it is what it is. And at the end of the day, I know to hear those harsh words, it's like the music playing in your ears. It's really difficult to hear.
It is, yeah.
But that's the reality.
This is the reality. And, you know, that's what we always say. We're not going to sugarcoat it. No, and that's what we say. Listen, we're your, like, shot of soap. We drink on the show, but this is about you being very sober in your life and in your relationship, and very aware. Because, look, if you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, well, I want to know if I'm going to marry this guy. I'm going to go to the second person. Or, you know what, I'm already married and I'm going to go to a lady because she says for the low, low price of $29.95, she can make my husband be so faithful to me. Or she can make this and this and this. At the end of the day, if you just pray on things, if you just pray on them, like we shared in the very first or second episode, if you just pray prayers like that, God will show up and show out in such an undeniable way that you will not be able to make excuses for what you see or what he shows you. And and guess what? Hopefully it's good. Hopefully what he shows you is a good thing.
But you know what? More than that, I would say is that asking God to give you the strength for whatever it is that you're praying
to receive it. Yep.
Because if you are going to ask for something and then you're going to receive it and you're not going to know what to do with it, then what's the point of praying for it? Yeah. I think that if you pray, asking you shall receive. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Oh, Rachel, my gosh, the moment I met her and the moment she said that to me, and everything that I've ever prayed for, I'm not saying that I have favor with God, but you know, I also say the devil's a motherfucker.
Yeah,
so he also does
sure
hear
is.
your prayers, by the way.
Yeah.
But if you should know, because we as women, we're very intuitive. If we should pray for something and you really want to have God show you something, ask God to also give you the strength to make the decision and the determination to also either have to pack and go or kind of muscle
or
through
work on your
or work on
relationship.
whatever it is, muscle through the situation, because those words are very powerful and those prayers are very powerful. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to really think about, what is it that I'm trying to seek?
Yes.
And we are spiritual people living a spiritual...
Every single thing you have in your life, including that lump on the log husband that just wants to watch Animal Planet and drink beer and like not get dressed up and take you out, you prayed that person into your life. You brought that person into your life at some point. And so at the end of the day, we got to get a little bit more specific. We got to tune in that channel a little bit better within ourselves and know that there is a higher power that we call God that is listening and wants our greater good. I know for me, when I pray every day, every night or whatever, especially in the morning, because I want to start my day with that. You know, my thing is like, I just want what he wants for me. Like as much as I go through the day going, I want this, I want that, I want to make this much money, I want to meet this, whatever. I just go, all that aside, I only want what he has chosen for me, because there is a perfect person for you. There is a person meant for you. And when we ask like, oh my gosh, you know, I want the perfect guy, and you have a list, let me tell you, the perfect person for you isn't someone that's just going to make you happy every day. It's going to be the person who makes you grow. And it really kind of highlights... And there's growing pains too with that, highlights things you need to work on. So this isn't about all being roses and rainbows and butterflies. I used to think that. I was really young when I got married, but I used to think that that's what it was supposed to be, and it's not. Like, you are brought the people that are meant to help you grow in life, and sometimes we outgrow them and we move on, right? But at the end of the day, when we're on this with this one guy that is clearly not meant for us because a girl took him away for the night or the week, or you know, he moved on, maybe he's gay all of a sudden, we talked about that in a previous episode. Whatever the situation is, it starts to take him away from you. You have to be willing to let things leave your life that don't want to be in your life. And that's hard.
And that's kind of what you say. But, you know, my mom says, in Spanish though, she's like, and I guess we can translate it, you can help me. Ni aunque te pongas, ni aunque te quites. Even if you get in front of it, or if you get away from it, if it's going to be for you, it's just going to find you. No matter what it is. And those to me have been like the most impactful, powerful words for me, because I'm like, you know, it doesn't matter what you want. Even if you put yourself in the position, if it's not meant for you, it's not going to be for you. Even if you take yourself out of the equation, if it's meant for you, it's going to be for you. So at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with, you know, abracadabra, hocus pocus, nothing. But I think it's so, like, it's just so out there right now.
There's a situation in my life that has been happening for about 20 years.
Wow.
And it's with an individual. And I remember when I first met him, I was like, whoa. It was like an instant, like almost electric. There was something that I had not experienced where I had experienced it, but not on this level. It was like, boom. You know, they say lightning strikes or whatever. It was like that, but it was like, okay, well, I'm married. What the heck? Like, I was actually in a very sad place because my husband was having an affair and all this kind of stuff. But I would put my smiles on, whatever. Here comes this person. Boom. We became friends. And over the years, it's so funny because I had always said, if this person wasn't married and I wasn't married, I know that would be my person. Like, I know that would be my person. And so here's what happens. I move on, right? He was one of my clients. I change jobs and move on. My career goes. And then all of a sudden, fast forward to some situation. I can't remember the first one. And then all of a sudden, there he is and there am I. And I'm like, what? You know, I'm talking like 5 years later. Then fast forward like another 7 years or something. And my car broke down on a roadway, on a toll road. So it's like a private road.
Snap.
And he happened to be driving like on the other side and was like, hey, is that
I
you?
thought I saw you.
Yeah,
No
and it
way.
was. And he's like, oh, have them tow you to my place or whatever. And so next thing you know, back in my life. Then I'm
Wow.
like working. I get a new office and it's now located about a mile from his place. He's driving around or whatever, happens to see me and says, what are you doing over here? And I said, that's my office. Now he's visiting the office. So this has been going on for 20 years.
That's
and,
a long time.
And this is like, there's like every time there's sparks, but my whole thing has always been like, he's either still been married or I was now in a new relationship and it wasn't ever quite right. But what I'm trying to say is the universe and God and it is freaking crazy. Like, it is crazy that you don't have to chase anything. You don't have to chase no one or anything. It will, if it's meant to be, it will be yours. It's already yours, by the way. It's just you have a journey to go through and learning to do and preparation to do in order to then align with it and meet up with it. So this whole notion of like, I'm going to, like do this little abracadabra like you said, because this lady told me I could do this and then he's going to think of me or he's going to be in my life. But
then it's like be careful what you wish for, right? Because it's not at your time, it's God's time or whatever time. I don't know, it's the energy's time. So you want it to be like, I want him to obsess over me like right now, and then all of a sudden it doesn't happen, and then it's like 3 months down the line, you meet this amazing person. Guess who's obsessing over you?
Yes.
And so it's like...
And there's even stories, I know I'm cutting you off,
no,
where
it's okay.
there's even like stories of like, it's not going to come the way you expect. So for example, you could be in a dead-end marriage, what you think is a dead-end marriage, and your husband's the lump on the log again, watching Discovery. And you might pray, God, I just want him to adore me. Like, I want him to like comb my hair or bring me coffee, breakfast in bed. And then you might get cancer. And all of a sudden, you're going through this horrible cancer situation. And what does he do? He is moved to help you with the hair situation because it's falling out. He's moved to bring you breakfast in bed because you're too sick. At the end of the day, you can get what you want, but you know what I mean? It could come at a price. And I've heard so many. And it's back to the Kanye West thing. Kanye West literally said he was so heartbroken. He'd been betrayed by friends and girls and family. And he prayed to God, God, I never want to feel pain in my heart like that ever again for anyone I love. And so he said then God took his mother. And he says that since his mother has passed, he's never felt a love or a pain on that level. He feels guilty about it is why. So guess what? He goes through life super numb. So you have to, again, be careful what you wish for because you don't know the route it's going to take to come into your life.
I agree. It's so deep that you say that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if those words resonate with you in a way, though, cancer I rebuke and any of those
I rebuke all that in the name of Jesus. They're I rebuke the energy of this show.
I rebuke that.
But it's putting it into perspective.
And it is. But I do think that at the end of the day, it is the be careful what you wish for because you never know if it's going to make it full circle to where it's like, this is what you wish for. I will tell you a story. And it might be TMI, but I'm being very vulnerable. Here's the story. Vulnerability at its best. And it could be a little bit of tabi, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. But I think it's important that I've shared this story with the closest people to me in my heart, soul, and spirit. And I remember that the very house that was my dream home, that had the double staircase. And I remember, watching Scarface. And I remember thinking, that's my dream home. Like, when I grow up, I'd love to have this beautiful home with a double staircase, and I'm going to have it. And I would, wholeheartedly pray for that. So guess what? 26, 27 years old, and guess what I have? Double staircase. But guess what it was for? My ex-husband was, and I don't mean to make light or make fun, because I understand that abuse is a big deal. But it would serve me, not knowingly at the moment, that I would have to go from one staircase to another staircase to run away from him. And so that's why I say now to anyone that will hear me, be careful what you wish for. Because even though that was my dream and that was my inspiration and that was the ultimate goal to have like a Scarface home, I had it. But I never knew that the second staircase was going to serve me to run away from the person that was going to abuse me and the person that I wound up marrying. And I don't mean to make light, or I don't mean to be so vulnerable. But what I'm trying to say is really think about the words that we speak, the words that we think, the energy that we give to things that we think we absolutely need to have.
Yes.
Though we want them, think about how you're going to get them without having to compromise your well-being, your self-respect.
Yes.
There's
so many things that are more important than that one thing
that you think is so important, because everyone's like, wow.
I was standing in your foyer, however you pronounce it, and I remember you saying, because the irony was that I had that same house model on my dream board.
Right.
And, it was that conversation, have you ever manifested anything in your life? Does it work? And I said, yeah, I've actually manifested the car and the house and the pool. And she said, really? And I said, yeah, but the thing is, you have
everything. Yeah.
I get to visit it. I get to walk around
enjoy
my
manifestation,
my dream board. But here's the thing. She goes, yeah, but... She goes, but who would have thought that I'd be running up these stairs and coming down these ones just to be able to have
run away.
Yeah, that was the price she had to pay.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, because guess what? It came into her life, but it came in via a little devil, a little demon.
It wasn't even about the little devil. It was really scary, It was really scary to put everything into look at life and look at life and put things into perspective, I should say, to say, wow, there was a moment in time in my life, and I've always been the way that I am. So I always wanted to manifest and put things into perspective, and life is the way you look at it, and happiness is internal, all the things, all the mushy stuff everyone talks about. I've always been that way, and I think that's why God has blessed me in the way that He has, and I don't take it in a light way. But point is that sure enough, I'm going up the stairs and down the stairs, and I remember thinking as I sat there one day by myself before any of the stuff was going on, and I thought, who would have ever thought that those stairs were going to serve me to run away from the man that was going to abuse me? Like, who would have ever known? And but my take back from that is not to throw a pity party for myself.
Yeah.
The past tense is nonsense. We move on. I guess the point is that, if God wants it for you, He's going to make it happen. If God doesn't want it for you, He's going to take it away.
Yeah.
Don't question the motives. And if you should ask God to also give you the strength to receive whatever it is you're asking for. And again, the devil is a mother.
Oh, yeah.
And he's listening.
He's right there.
And you know
popping
what?
popcorn. Going, all right.
Or popping bottles. I don't know what he's doing.
He's waiting for his cue.
He's like, all right, I got to move in. We're moving in. And so you got to just be really precautious or be very, very methodical on how you pray for things. And also know that if it's not for you, the universe is redirecting you, and that's okay.
Always be willing to let go.
Yeah.
When you hold on to things too tightly, they will flee from you.
Exactly.
And, at the end of the day, even, on my other show, Rachel Unpacked, I talk about business a lot and sales and, making money. And even in sales, I was taught really young from the owner of Auto Trader. She said, if you go into this dealership needing, wanting deeply to get the sale, you're not going to get it. You need to walk in knowing that you have gifts to offer, that you have something wonderful to offer them. And at the end of the day, don't hang on, because I was failing because I was going from door to door, and I was like, oh my God, I have to get this or I'm not going to be able to pay, my car payment or whatever it is, because we didn't have money when we were young. And so it's about the energy in which you're trying to hold on to things. You shouldn't be trying to hold on to anything.
Literally, yeah.
And on one last kind of note, or maybe not last, because it's kind of a little bit of a downer, but even like with, for example, my sons, I have an older son that I lost on Valentine's Day 2 years ago now. And let me tell you, he was a wild child. He did it all, whether he would jump off a cliff or go snowboarding or ride his mountain bike. I mean, all the things that you think as a mom, you're going to be like, oh my God, having a heart attack. I did everything I could to protect my kids. So I would be like, don't do that. Oh my God, be careful. Like all these major anxiety things, because it's like boy mom problems. If you're a boy mom, you totally get it. But at the end of the day, he did a lot of things too that got him in trouble. And he would drink and he would do all these kinds of things. And I would get really nervous, like, you're going to get in trouble with the law again. You're going to have all these things. And at the end of all that worrying about that wasn't even the thing that took him out. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we just hang on so tight over here, not realizing we don't have really control. And I think that's why I wanted to share that part of it is like, if you're living your life trying to control what your husband's doing, who he's with, you're trying to control this or that or that or this, or I don't want her around him because what if this, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you're hanging on so freaking tight that you will not be happy.
Of course.
With how things show up in your life.
Yep.
Just,
and
you know.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter like the abracadabra, the voodoo, the anything. I think the take back from this is the prayer is definitely important. If you do pray, if you really want it to be shown to you, then be ready to receive it and be ready to have the wit and also have the prayer to say, God help me. But at the end of the day, it's like you have no control over anything.
If you go and you use some kind of voodoo, crazy magic, whatever, over something you really want today that was meant to leave you, you're going to be shown why it was meant to leave you, and then now you're going to be stuck.
You're like, why are you stalking me? Why are you stalking me?
You're going to be so stuck, and that right there, my dears, is called karma.
Made it full
circle. You know what?
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Please stay tuned to the very end. We have a mantra for you that you can watch on YouTube and screenshot, or you can check out the show notes on your favorite podcast platform and say it loud, say it proud, because you deserve fresh lettuce. Cheers.